The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Amy Truesdell here over at Automated Marketing Solutions, and I'm going to be the moderator for our call today. We're going to be meeting with a couple of our experts in the Craig Proctor coaching system. I'm sure you've heard their names and you'll be quite familiar with them, as well as we're going to have the president of Automated Marketing Solutions, Mike Kowalski. So if you could just do me a favor, for those of you who are already in the room, we're still waiting for some people to filter through. Can you please let me know that you can hear the audio okay? If I need to increase my volume, anything like that, just please type that into our side chat panel. And you should also be able to see at this time my welcome screen that says welcome to AMS's webinar. That way I'll know if you can see that we can move forward with our presentation. Okay, great. I've got some feedback coming in. Thank you so much. Okay, as I mentioned, we're just waiting for a few more people to filter in here before we go live. While they're doing that, I will move over into our agenda for today. Okay, so on this call, what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about how the hotlines work and why they're so important to be using them in your day-to-day marketing efforts. We're going to learn a little bit about the differences between the two types of hotline formats that AMS offers within Craig's program, the unbranded or less branded information hotline, as well as we're going to talk about the USP, property tree hotline, which is your more branded line. Okay, we'll also talk a little bit about what the key elements are when it comes to scripting and how you should be presenting your scripting to your prospects calling into your toll-free hotline. Okay, and then we're also going to discuss the follow-up once you've done that lead capture, what to do with those leads or how to speak to those leads once they've given you their information. Okay, so this is going to be our agenda. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mike Kowalski on the call with me so that we can move forward. Mike, are you on the call today?
I am, Amy. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. Nice to have you participate with us.
Thank you. I'm really excited about today's call. We are very, very, very privileged to have two dynamic guys on the line with us today. Both have been, I believe, in the Proctor program for over 17 years now, long time. Pardon me?
That's a lot of insight that they can share with us.
It is. They've been they're coaches, current coaches, the Craig Proctor system. They're top producers in their industry in real estate, and they also are speakers at the Craig Proctor events as well. So I'm very excited to have both guys on the line with me to help us show the members on this call today how we could leverage and make money with our hotline technology. And very, very, very excited. So I want to make this call, Amy, very interactive. So anyone that has any questions during the topics that we talked about, just feel free to type them into the right side of your screen in the chat box, and then we'll try and get those questions answered as we go through the call. And we will spend on time on a few of your questions at the end as well. So are we ready to get going, Amy?
I believe so. Yeah, let's go forward with that.
Okay. Well, we've got Rick Brash from Calgary. Rick, are you there?
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Very well.
Beautiful. And I'll get to Lester in 1 second. Lester Cox is waiting on the line here. Rick, why don't we get started? I mean, before we get into the weeds of the hotlines and how you guys use them to make money and leverage them to grow your business, I really want to talk about why you need a hotline. Okay, and Craig teaches you how you can drive traffic using direct response marketing to these hotlines. And now you got to have answers on who's going to answer these calls and how they're going to be sifted and sorted. And some are qualified, some not. Why don't we first start off and going through the three fundamental marketing principles that Craig teaches in the first two steps of his marketing program.
Sure. It's really interesting that we talk about hotlines in the way that we do. The typical real estate agent who doesn't have a systemized approach, who doesn't use a lead generation strategy to not only create opportunity, but to grow their business. You know, for agents who don't do that, this discussion that we're having today is really something foreign to them. They don't understand the systemized approach. But, you know, Lester will you know, concur with me. When you look around your neighborhood, when you look around your native community where you're sitting right now, and you look at successful business, the one thing we appreciate about every business, regardless of the industry that they're in, is they've chosen to work a systemized method. A business can't grow if it can't create opportunity for itself. So, you know, we learn early in the Quantum Leap system the value of having a lead generation system that every single day delivers opportunity to the door. And there's a little bit of work to that. There's a learning curve. It doesn't happen overnight. But, you know, when we start to think about creating that, we think about, well, who else has done this in the past? You know, where can we go and find a model that we can bring to our business and copy? So Craig Proctor, the mentor that both Lester and I chose to work with many years ago, was a really successful real estate agent. In fact, he was the #1 guy in the REMAX system a couple of times, generating hundreds and hundreds of leads every single week into his business and selling close to 600 homes every single year. And Craig painstakingly created a model that works if you're willing to copy it. And the good news is that Craig is willing to share with you exactly what he does, how he did it, and he teaches you step by step how to implement it into your business. So, like it says there on the slide, we often refer to this as a franchise prototype. There are certain things we can do when we copy other people that will bring similar results to us. And, you know, my colleague Lester Cox, who's with us on the call today, you know, Lester and I were quite willing to copy what Craig taught us. And it, you know, we had to adjust our thinking a little bit. We had to think a new way about running a real estate business. But once we got our heads around what it was Craig was teaching us, success, very similar to Craig's, followed very closely. So Craig really gave us a sense that becoming a great marketer was a really great way to grow our business. And, you know, most real estate agents listening today who aren't part of our program say to themselves, well, I do market. I do advertise. I do share my listings with the world in the paper or online every month. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about a specific marketing method that creates a wondering from the prospect, or the prospect sees a solution to their problem and they respond to the offers we make in our marketing. And the reason they respond so readily and so often is because the solutions that we provide through our marketing really do cover off the things they need to move forward. It's not fluff. It's not stuff that maybe they'll work with. It's real life solutions to their problems of buying or selling. So direct response marketing, the type that Craig taught us to work with, is really the ticket if you need more business. And I can tell you really, when I found Craig myself personally, I struggled not knowing where my next deal would come from. I had never heard of running a business or creating opportunity the way Craig taught us how to do it. But within 3 months of implementing some of his very basic stuff in my world, in my life, and in my real estate business, I was inundated with opportunity from buyers and sellers. And I'm quite sure if we ask Lester, he'll tell you it was the same thing. So what we want agents to understand is there is a better way. There's a better way to create opportunity. There's a better way to utilize technology in your business rather than just waste a whole bunch of time and cost you a whole bunch of money. And there really is a better way to systemize the approach and make more money. And that's what we're all about today, is implementing some of these technology solutions into your marketing strategy to make your job easier and make more profit. And ultimately, I think the good news for Lester and I was Craig taught us to work smart, to work less, but to double, triple, quadruple, and beyond the results that we were enjoying through this marketing strategy. So hopefully we can intrigue you to stick with us and see this thing through today, and you know, really help you get on board with what we're talking about. Anything you want to add to that, Lester?
No, Rick, I mean, I concur with everything you said. Probably, and one of the big things that I know you and I both found in using the hotlines initially with our business, a huge aha moment for me with Craig in the very first year that I was in his program, was the ability to track and ensure that the marketing I was doing was actually working. Before Craig, basically I'd run an ad and I'd run this ad and that ad. I'd be in this magazine, that magazine. I'd have that sign out or whatever, bus bench or whatever it was. But I had no idea where the business was coming from. I just knew I was doing some business, and I had no clue as to what was actually working and what wasn't working. Using the hotlines, because of all the different extensions and whatever, I knew exactly and precisely exactly what ads were working. And I quit, just real simply, I just quit doing the stuff that didn't work. And I took those monies and I put them over to the things that did work and just did more and more business, because the marketing that I was doing was effective, and I knew it was effective because I could measure the results.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Tracking
report is huge.
Yeah, tracking what we're doing. Today we're talking hotlines. Tracking what we're doing and the results we create using our hotline is so simple, it's ridiculous. You log in, you pull up the report, and there's your activity record that matches your ads. It matches the IDs in your ad, and it tells you exactly how that ad is performing. I mean, what better way to determine return on our investment of an ad than looking at exactly how it works? Now, the contrast is the typical real estate advertisement that has a picture of an agent, 6 or 7 listings in the ad, and 1 phone number at the bottom of the page. For more information, call Joe, and here's a cell phone number. Well, is that?
And to that, Rick, the same phone number appears in every ad the guy does.
That's right. So how well is a particular ad working? Now, Lester and I have asked hundreds of coaching members over the years, how well is your marketing working? And generally we get the same answer. There's a pause on the phone because nobody really knows. So they don't know if there's a return on their marketing investment or not. And as Lester just said, we can tell you 3 days after an ad is run what our current return on that ad is. So really important that everybody on the call today picks up on this. Very, very, very powerful stuff.
And Rick, could you share, that was great. I mean, the benefits to you, the agent, how it gave structure to your life and the ability to sift, sort, pre-qualify leads and be able to track and measure the results of that advertising is real cool to the agent. Now, let's talk about the benefits to the prospect now, okay? Using, calling into an 800 number to get information.
Sure.
It's easy, it's non-threatening, it's 24/7. You want to add any more to the benefits to buyers or sellers that call into the number?
Well,
yes.
Well, you start, Lester. I got lots of ideas. You go first, Lester.
Yes, they don't. The perception, of course, is they don't have to talk to an agent.
Perfect.
Because they're calling into an 800 number to get free recorded information. And the key word here is recorded information. That means I'm going to call up, I'm going to be able to get the information I want in a non-threatening environment 24/7, and I don't have to speak to an agent.
Yeah.
Going to triple your response.
Right, that's the big benefit. So why don't agents get calls on their cell phones today? Well, that's the reason, because they're agents. The typical prospect doesn't begin the project of buying or selling by hunting for a real estate agent. No, they don't. They go looking for information related to their questions and wonderings about buying or selling. So here we run an ad, and the ad promises to give you the answers you're looking for without talking to an agent. And some of you might be thinking, well, how does that benefit me? How does that benefit the prospect? Part of the process and if we look at box number 2 on the slide, part of this process is we insert the hotline number and a subsequent 4-digit ID code into our ad in a key position so the prospect realizes they're going to listen to a recorded message. And they call, and they call, and they call. We get ourselves out of the way. This old advertising idea that we as real estate agents have to be gatekeepers, that's 60s and 70s mindset. We've got to get rid of that. Prospects want as little to do with us early in the prospect project as possible. They want to find out for themselves. They want to fish for their own information. They want to get their own answers without digging through it all with the real estate agent. So, simply put, Lester and I get out of the way. We provide technology. The technology provides all the answers. And in that process, and this is key, in that process, the lead from that prospect gets generated. And in conjunction with that, Lester and I have a very organized, systematic method of following up to create the relationship. But initially, the information we're providing in a non-threatening manner generates the lead over and over and over again.
I mean, Lester, you made a good point about you get 3 times the amount of calls or leads come into the hotline because it's a recorded message, and we've proven that over and over and over again over the years. That's actually a huge seller's benefit as well, because they're going to get more buyers call in about their property, and it may be even a good opportunity as a listing presentation when you go in for a listing to even show and demonstrate the hotline tool at how you're going to get more buyers to look at the seller's property. Is that correct?
That's absolutely. That's why we call it the 24-hour talking house, because people can call in 24/7, find out information on that house, and you know, we got some little special tricks that we do to get them on the phone and actually be talking to them, having a conversation with the people. So, I mean, the key is, I mean, everybody knows on this call that sign calls are probably the best lead you'll ever get. Yep. I can't think of a better lead than a sign call other than a referral, but that's the best lead you'll ever get. Somebody sitting in front of a house and they're picking up their phone and they're calling an 800 number to get information on that house, because hopefully people here don't have flyer boxes still out there. That's kind of 25-year-old technology, if you call it technology. I guess using a printer. But people can actually call 24/7, get information on that house that they're sitting in front of. And then we've got a couple little extra scripts that we use to get them to actually be on the phone talking to us while they're sitting in front of the house. And that's golden. That is absolute golden.
That's great. Well, let's move over now to, I mean, I want to cover the difference between less branded and branded. I know, I just want to we have a lot of customers, a lot of agents that, you know, I know we teach it. We go to the coaching, we go to the half-day events, and they still have a hard time understanding the difference. And there are different strategy, and really there's two strategies on generating different types of leads. And as you see in our screen here, we have actually 2 different types of hotlines and strategies. The one being the unbranded information line, or the less branded line, which, as you can see, all the scripts are preloaded, tested, and proven by Craig Proctor himself. You can see that they're all assigned to the 4-digit ID bins, and it really is a non-threatening way to get prospects into a classified or editorial sale ads. Again, you're not the agent when it comes to this type of hotline. Now, I'll let Lester and Rick elaborate on that. And the next type of hotline, if you can flip the screen, Amy, is the USP property tree. And we're going to get more into the strategies and the tips that these 2 guys use to get more quality grade A leads, to generate conversations on the buyers, on the branded side, using USPs and be able to tie in the property descriptions, a little bit about the property and more of the benefit to the buyer. We're gonna also go through that. All these scripts the USPs are preloaded and done, tested for you. But we'll talk to Rick later in the call about the importance of scripting and Lester, and how it could definitely generate a quality grade A lead, someone dialing 0 to get a hold of you. So again, all the reporting's done on this. We'll get into how the flow of the lead will go through the hotline, and near the end of the session we'll also have a demo line for people that want to call in afterwards and really demo it, listen to the script, and see how it all works from a smartphone. We'll show you that number at the end of the call. So, Rick or Lester, let's just quick answer on the difference between the less branded and the branded advertising and marketing.
Well, the less branded marketing is generally where we start somebody in real estate who's never done a lot of marketing before. It's a great way to start the process of lead generation. And we generally start people off in the less branded zone. So what's a less branded ad? If you look at typical real estate advertising, it generally starts about being about the agent. You know, I'm Rick Brash, I'm the Remax guy, I'm a great guy, I'm a hard worker. Here's my picture leaning up against the doorpost, and here's my 6 listings with 100 features for each property. That's pretty typical. And we've interviewed agents over the years who've said that they get very, very little response or very little calls into their cell phone, that kind of marketing. So one of the things Craig realized, that even though he'd become somewhat of a rock star in his marketplace of Newmarket, Ontario, he realized that he had hit the ceiling with respect to response. So he began the process of getting himself out of his ads and simply making the information the prospect wanted available through an ad. In fact, the ad had nothing to do with Craig other than his name in very small type at the bottom of the ad. And lo and behold, the response to those marketing pieces for a list of homes or a copy of a feature sheet on a listing or maybe a report or something else, the response to those was very, very good. So Craig quickly pioneered this whole less branded approach to creating leads and opportunity in his business. But he did it in conjunction with his branded marketing. And his branded marketing didn't just feature his listings and features, it featured a very powerful message about him. And that was his USP, or unique selling proposition, that truly sets an agent apart in the marketplace. Now, that's a very important point. And again, when we talk to agents, we'll always ask them, why should I list my house with you? What is it about you that sets you apart in the consumer's eye when they compare you with other agents locally? So Craig helped all of us who've succeeded with his program create more than just a branded presence. We gave the prospect a reason to call. Craig's reason for calling was what he called his guaranteed sale program. Your home sold in 120 days guaranteed, or I'll buy it myself. And that branding that Craig created for himself single-handedly grew his business through the roof. And it's done basically the same thing for Lester and I. So there's 2 ways to create opportunity. You can do it following a model in the less branded vein. You can do it using the branded marketing, but featuring that USP as a real crucial reason to reach out to that particular agent. And both have merit, but what happens after you get really good at marketing is you'll do more branded than you will less branded. But to get started with learning how to market for leads, we want to teach you how to work the less branded side of your lead generation.
Hey, Rick, I'll add one thing that Craig would probably add in here. Doing some of the USP marketing like you're talking about, the guaranteed sale program, I'll buy your house if I don't sell it in 120 days. We don't do that marketing so that we can go out and buy houses.
Correct.
The idea is not to do a lot of marketing so I can make guarantees and buy houses. The idea behind this is to do marketing that sets yourself apart from other agents and get the prospect to simply raise their hand up and identify themselves as somebody who's looking to make a move in real estate. And I think Rick will agree with me, what you're going to find, and I know nobody ever believes us on this, Rick, but what you're going to find is when you make these kind of offers and you actually have an appointment and you go out and sit in the living room with the folks who are looking to sell their house, in 95% of the cases, the USP offer that they called on never comes up again. They never, ever mentioned the guaranteed, hey, you're going to guarantee to sell my house or you're going to buy it, right? They never mention it again. So, out of 100 leads that we get, 95 times we never even discuss the guarantee again. So I don't want people to get scared away by the guarantees. I mean, that's all a bit of coaching. It takes a little bit of coaching, a little bit of knowledge and knowing what to expect. But 95% of the time, it never is an issue.
Correct. But it sure, as you said, Lester, it really does set us apart. If you look around your marketplace and you see someone's marketing that features a program like the guaranteed sale, or there's another program that Lester and I both like, your home sold at full market value guaranteed, or I'll pay you the difference. And we would create a script to go into our branded hotline that a prospect could call and order a report on how that program works rather than calling us to get more information. And same thing, regardless of what the USP is, here's what happens. Prospects want information on that program. And by providing that information through a pre-recorded message, we can generate leads from people that need to sell. And that's the crux of this. That's what we want to teach our members how to do. Use this technology correctly. Feed the information to the prospects to the point where they actually reach out and ask you to help them. And we're pretty good at that, Lester, and it's really made us a lot of money over the years.
Oh, absolutely. The USB advertising is huge. You hang your brand on that, but all this type of advertising we're talking about, even what Craig has developed called editorial ads. You know, to get a special report on 11 inspection traps that you need to know about before you list your home for sale. So you use an 800 number and you direct them with an ID code, and you know specifically, I might run that same ad in 5 different publications, but each publication will have its own specific, unique 4-digit ID code, so I know which publication they were reading when they called to get that special report. Now, hey, Rick, another thing that a lot of people probably have experienced over time, and you and I have both made a lot of money off of hang-ups. People call the 800 number, and before they make that request or whatever, they just simply hang up, and they go away. Well, the great thing about the 800 numbers, my favorite thing about the 800 numbers is 99% of the time they call that 800 number, I have a phone number.
Right.
I have a phone number of somebody on the other end of that phone is interested in doing something in real estate, and I don't care if they hung up or not. I'm going to blame Mike. I'm going to say, hey, Mike's technology really cut it off before you had a chance to leave your information. I didn't get your information. It's Mike's fault. Yeah. So here I am to help you.
That's a good point, Lester, as far as, I mean, you're getting a phone number, a name and address of anyone that calls in the number. And, you know, as you know, with internet marketing, you get a lot of invalid numbers and bogus email addresses. So you do get a lot of quality numbers that you can call back, and even if they don't leave a message, there's a whole callback strategy you can use for hang-ups if you choose to do that. Now,
absolutely. You call the hang-ups back and you just blame the technology. You say there was a breakdown in the technology.
Yeah, and I know if you call in this property, I'm just calling it back, and then you get onto the universal callback. So good point.
I want to add my 2 cents on that, because that was how I cut my teeth on making calls many years ago. But, you know, one of the things we teach in our program, the Quantum Leap system, is a complete system, and we teach you some conversion skills. Lester and I became real experts with something called the universal callback script. And I started with that script. I wanted to practice. I wanted to get better. I wanted to make a volume of calls to imprint that script and that conversation on my brain. So I would call, as Lester just said, all the hotline hangups that came into my world. And thus, you know, some months I was generating 400 and 500 calls, hangups, into my system. I was calling every one of them back and booking appointments like crazy. Now, sometimes, we've heard Craig talk about this, he'll say, well, calling hangups is the next step to cold calling. And it's true. It is true. They didn't leave a message. And I do blame Mike for that. I do blame the technology. I have a number of reasons why I'm just quickly calling back. But here's what it did for Lester and I. It gave us the practice and the skill to master that conversation. And now, I don't care who you are. I can have a very pointed 4-minute conversation with you. I can learn timing and motivation in that 4 minutes. And because you called and because you answered 4 questions, I can now make the most appropriate offer. And I can make it really comfortable and really slick and really delicious to the point where the prospect wants to take advantage. And all because, as Lester said, we're willing to call back anybody who's called that hotline. And Mike's technology tells us absolutely everything about every call that's come in. Look, here's what I'm saying. If you're not using this technology in your business, you are leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table every single year. So you've got to embrace this. You've got to get it working. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind.
The other thing you're doing, Rick, is you're leaving a lot of time on the table, because the hotlines is truly one way that I know nobody can add time to the 24-hour clock, but the hotlines sure make it a lot easier to. I can follow up with 10,000 people in 5 minutes a month using the hotlines. That's right.
That's true.
And nobody could ever make that kind of dials. Nobody could ever make those kind of calls.
I think, Rick, we miss this on a benefit to the agent. I mean, sometimes it takes. You mentioned that it cover 2 other administrative people will do to help you
sure.
in your own business, right? We never
Absolutely.
mentioned that, but that's a
Absolutely.
great point. Let's just for the new people that are just starting out with the hotlines, if you can continue, Amy, with I would just want you to go through, Rick, what the prospect, buyer and seller, what they're actually hear and the strategy of when they call into the hotline, and just spend a minute, not too much. Just go through that.
So first and foremost, the key to making this work is a good ad. And that's not shown on the screen here, but so what Lester and I have to do every time we sit down is create compelling ad pieces that look attractive to the prospect. So the prospect then sees in our ad that the call to action is to call the hotline number, listen to a pre-recorded introduction, and then kick in the 4-digit ID code that's advertised in the ad. Okay, I want to make sure we're clear on that. It's our job to run the ad and tell the prospect what to do in the ad. So they call. Now, in the case of a less branded ad, they call the information line, they hear the intro, they kick in the 4-digit code, the script is played, and the call to action is again repeated, and we tell the prospect what to do in that script to get what they want. Now, how do we know what they want? Because they called off our ad. Lester just alluded to a really great editorial campaign called The 11 Inspection Traps to Avoid, the 11 inspection traps to know of and how to avoid them before listing your home for sale. That's an editorial ad that offers a report on what those 11 inspection traps are. So, in the script, we tell the prospect exactly how to get their own personal copy of the report. We ask for a few things. Okay? We ask, where should we send the report? If we need to call you to confirm anything, what number should we call? And by the way, who are you? Name, mailing address, phone number, or name, email address, and phone number. Okay? They have to leave that in the message. Now, the USP property tree, something a little bit different. Again, this comes from a branded ad. So when the prospect is compelled to call in, the first thing they hear when they call is my voice or Lester's voice and a brief commercial about some of those unique services that we provide to the consumer thinking of buying or selling. And we might give them 2 or 3 different unique choices they can choose from. There's 9 available, but the script, if you use all 9 in your script, they're going to hang up on you. It's just too long. You got to be quick with this today because people are in a hurry. So offer them one real powerful USP offer, and then tell them to kick in the 4-digit ID code that they saw advertised either on the sign in front of the listing or maybe in the magazine ad or maybe in the Facebook ad. And then they hear the script about that particular property. And same thing, in that script, there's a few things we do to get them to press 0 and talk to Lester or I right now, not tomorrow, not later when we call them, right now, and we do our best to get them to do that. But if not, we tell them exactly how to get what it is we offered. So I make an offer on my listings of a fully loaded, full color feature sheet on this property, along with the 7 others in the community for sale right now. If you'd like a copy of this one and that list, tell us where to send it, give us your name, your email, and your phone number, and we'll get that out to you this afternoon, or something of that nature. Another trick, and I'll let Lester talk about this, is what we do with the 0. Pressing the 0 enables something very magical to happen. Lester, tell everybody about pressing the 0.
Well, I came up with this years and years ago because when you have people calling on a particular property, of course they want information on that property. And I do my property tree just a little bit different than what Rick described. I actually give them the instruction to enter the 4-digit ID code of the property that they're calling on at this time right in the very beginning, and then the commercials follow. So they have the option of entering the 4-digit ID code and going right to the property, or hanging around listening to a couple other offers that I have. And I do that just simply because I don't the main thing I want them to do is get to what they called for, and that's the information. So I don't want to impede on their wanting to get that information on that house. So when they call on the house and they press, let's say they press 6,000, and that goes to the house that's listed at 123 Maple Street, I'll simply start off by saying, thanks for calling on this wonderful home at 123 Maple Street. And then the magic words, if at any time during this recording you would like to get the current price of this property, simply press 0 on your touch-tone phone. So I've given them the instruction, and there's a couple things people want when they're sitting out in front of a house. We discovered, and everybody knows this, they want to know how many bedrooms it is, and they want to know what the price is. Everybody wants to know those two things about a house that they're interested in. So because of ever-changing prices, it became easy just to insert that type of language, and then the people would press 0, and as soon as they press 0, it rings to my cell phone, and now I'm talking to the prospective buyer sitting out in front of one of my listings live on the telephone. They're maybe taken aback a little bit because they might have been expecting another recording with the current price, but instead they got a live body. But still, they still say, I'm calling to get the price on that house at 123 Maple Street, or I quiz them which property they're at. And then while I'm looking that up for them, I say, who am I speaking with? Oh, hi, Rick. Yeah, it's Lester Cox over here at Realty Executives. Hey, well, I looked that up for you, Rick. Let me ask you this. Are you planning to make a move in the next little while? So I'm right into the universal callback script while I'm looking up the information on the property that they're calling on. I can tell you, I just can't even imagine how many people we've converted because we have set and we got them on the phone. We no longer have to try to call and call and call to get them back on the phone. We got them live while they're sitting in front of that house. It is absolutely magic.
That's the key too, what you just said, Lester. I mean, that's the reason why Craig teaches us to generate these leads for on the follow-up, is they get that meaningful conversation, timely conversation, right? Where the prospects in front of your house, buyer prospect, they dial that extension, 800 number, they dial the 4-digit extension, and now you have the opportunity to compel them to dial 0 to connect them right to your cell phone.
Well, if a big mistake if you say to speak to me at any time, press 0. Well, that's why they called for the free recorded message. They didn't want to speak to you. So
right.
So you don't want to. I don't ever say that. I just say to get the current price, press 0 at any time. At the end of the recording, I'll say again, if you'd like the current price on this property, simply press 0 on your touch tone phone, or enter your name and at the tone. Give me your name and your email address, and I'll send over to you complete information on this home, including all color photographs and the other 7 properties in the neighborhood.
Beautiful. I want to get into a couple of other.
I'll just add one thing to that. One of the things we've also done with that 0 out, Lester, that I think you and I talked about before was I actually tell a prospect if they'd like to make arrangements to see this property immediately, press 0 and set that up with our appointment staff. And that has worked really well as well. By the way, guess who the appointment staff is? It's me. Those calls are directed to ring right through to my cell phone because, like Lester, I'm the best lead converter in my organization. And those come they come right to my desk in my office. So look, here's what we're trying to do with this technology. Number one, sift and sort, because that's what it's designed to do. Let's get rid of the tire kickers and the unreal buyers, and let's get people involved in a now conversation who are really serious about buying or selling in the next 90 days. And this technology does it in spades.
Cool. Okay. So I want to get into a couple of other uses for the Hotline. But before we do that, Amy, if you can flip over, what we did want to show you is a couple of the sample offline and online magnets or ads that drive these prospects to the 800 technology. And as you can see, we were talking about the different types of less branded ads and postcards that you can see go into a free recorded message, 800 number with a 4-digit ID. If you can flip over to the next one, Amy, that'd be good. That's the offline. Now I want you. Here's some samples of some sign calls. And Lester, you mentioned earlier in the call, they're one of the best leads that you have, besides a referral. So why don't one of you guys just talk about these signs and the call to actions? And I know the open everyday open house is working really well right now for members.
Yeah, I use open house every day, call for times, and I use an 800 number. That's the cool thing about that one. I can get 100 signs made up for about $300, and I use the same ID code on each one of those. And when they listen to that message, it simply instructs them to at the tone, give me the address of the property that they're calling on, and we will and the best times for them to view the property, and we will instantly have somebody contact them to give them the times that this property can be viewed. And of course, it'll be viewed anytime that we can get an appointment, obviously. But then the other thing, I like I've told you, Mike, if they'd let me put a billboard in front of the house, I would put 24-hour free recorded info with my 800 number and an ID code on every listing I've got. I mean, that's the magic to me. I could care less about anything else in that yard other than a 24-hour free recorded info sign. That's my gold.
That's my system.
Leslie, you mentioned too it being one of the best leads you can have. And what does it cost you?
It doesn't cost anything.
Right.
It's the cheapest lead I can get, and it's the best lead I can get. The best lead you can possibly get to buy for buyers of homes are the free leads. So they're these right here. Well, that's my for sale by owner sign you guys put up there, right? It's the same sign that I use on the other houses. I just have series of ID codes for that for sale by owner. So 7727 would be a for sale by owner guy that we worked with over here on Maple Street or wherever it is. It's just tied to that ID code. We just keep an Excel spreadsheet with a log of the address of that 4-digit ID code's been assigned to, and you recycle it. So you sell that house and you recycle it. The sign's still good.
So basically, you're using the 800 number to target a certain group of physicals, for example, for sale by owner people.
Well, so what we'll do, Mike, is we'll take that particular sign, for example. I'll just give you a for sale by owner strategy that we use. Okay. So you got a guy that's listed his house for sale by owner. Okay, and I'll give you the numbers. Okay, 100 for sale by owners. Nationally, I know on a national basis, 8 of them are going to be successful. 8 out of the 100 are going to be able to sell their house on their own. They don't need a realtor. About 40 of them, or 40, let's just call it 42, because we got 92 left, right? So we'll call it 42 of them already know a realtor that they're going to list their house with if they don't sell it. But 50% of the for sale by owners who actually end up not selling their home and actually list it with somebody don't know who that is when they started their for sale by owner campaign. So that's 1 out of every 2 every 2 for sale by owners out there are going to list their home with someone and they don't know who it is. Those are fantastic odds, you think? So basically my salespeople will go out on a Saturday morning and they'll be carrying one of these signs under their arm, and they're going to go out and knock on the guy's door, and they're going to go out with the idea that I am not here to try to list your home. I know you probably had 100 agents call you. They all want to list your home or they've stopped by. I'm not here to do that. What I'm here to do is you've got one home to sell. It's a home you're living in, and that's the only home you have to sell. And you're probably going to have 20 or 30 people who are going to be interested in your home, but you could only sell it to one of them. When you find that person that wants to buy your home, I will help you walk through the paperwork and everything else so I can make it a little easier for you. But what I would like to do is simply offer you the use of my 800 number system, which is going to add a level of security to you in selling your home, because somebody's going to call from a phone number. It's going to capture their phone number. We're going to know who they are, and they're going to be able to call you and find out all about your home before they are instructed to press 0 to talk to you at any time. And they're going to be able to press 0, and that call will forward directly to the owner, wherever you want that call to go, Mr. Owner. And all I want to do is I just want to work with the 19 buyers out of 20 people who inquired who aren't going to buy your home. I just want to work with those 19 people. They're not going to buy your home anyhow. I'll work with those guys. You sell your house to the guy who does want to buy it. I'll help you through the paperwork. In the event you decide you're not able to sell your own home and you do decide to list it, I'd just like to be interviewed for the job.
chances are they're going to use you, right, Lester? I mean, reciprocity. I mean, you've offered to help them. You've given them a 800 system to help capture the leads, sift, sort, pre-qualify them, and deliver them right to their email address or their phone number. So,
I'll let that owner write his own script. He can write whatever he wants about that house. Give me the phone number you want the things to the recording, the press zero feature to go through to. And so the owner, the prospect can call up the 800 number, enter that ID code, and then they can simply listen to all about the house. And if they want to talk to the owner, they press zero. So instead of the guy who wants a 5-bedroom home and you've only got 4 bedrooms and he's knocking on your door at dinner time, disrupting your dinner, wanting to come in and take a look at a home that doesn't fit his needs, you're going to eliminate all those people who are knocking on your door, disturbing your evening or your Saturdays, who are not going to buy your home because they're going to be able to call this 800 number and find out all about it. And you're not going to have the neighbor kids making paper airplanes out of the little flyers, the color flyers that you're trying to print and keep produced in the flyer box out there. It's just a much better system. It adds a level of security.
So very smart marketing and targeting, for sale by owners. And just to let you know how the system works, every FSBO buyer will have their own unique ID, 4-digit ID, like in this case 7727. They'll have their own dial zero back to their own phone. So you can have, tens or hundreds of FSBOs if you want to target that many on one 800 number. So the leverage you can do, the number of leads that you're going to generate. Now, Lester, you and I have talked about this last week. To even make this even better, in December we're preparing to put together or produce a video so that we can send this video to the FSBO owner. And really the video is all about the benefits to the FSBO owner and really articulate and show them how this 800 recorded number works and how they will get their home sold fast. And that, go ahead, Lester.
Oh yeah, and all the benefits of using such a marketing technique. I mean, this is a marketing tool that's basically reserved for realtors and realtors only. Now, I'm going to loan this to them free of charge to help them assist in selling their own home. When I still know for a fact that only 8 out of 100 people that I loan this sign to are going to be successful in selling their own home.
Right. And this video, I think it was a great idea that, sending this video out even to prospect to FSBOs or at least once you've got them to show them, articulate how this all works. And I think that's a great idea. And we're going to have that available. In fact, we're going to have a call in December just on FSBOs and how to get that all working and get that together as well. So great idea. Other stuff, I know you guys use the hotline. I know Rick and Lester, you've used it for recruiting team members as well. You want to tell us how you've done that?
I use it for everything. I use it for everything. For example, if I have a prospective team member, somebody that I'm looking to put on my team, I will have them call a hotline, enter an ID code, and leave me a 30-second elevator speech as to why they think they'd be a good fit for my team. Does a couple things. It allows me to find out if they know how to follow instructions, and it also lets me hear their phone voice before I ever meet them.
That's really important. That's huge. Yeah, I know we have a lot of Platinum and Culture members right now that are asking for the recruiting script that we're putting on the branded hotline, and it's working very well in finding the right agents to work with. As you can see on the screen there's Rick's big ugly yellow sign, which worked very well. Secondary sign to attract buyers.
Well, this is just to be clear, Mark. This is not a secondary sign. This is a sign that goes out in front of a listing before my for sale sign goes up.
Right.
So everybody on the team has this big ugly sign bouncing around in their truck. When they list a home, this gets left behind the night they list the home. And again, there's the system. Call my number, kick in that 4-digit code, which in this case is 9889. And in that sense, the prospect hears a message that this particular home was just listed. It's not on the MLS yet. If you'd like to book a showing to see it before anybody else, leave that information in your message. And again, just using those zero techniques that we've talked about, I can create a call right to my cell phone from somebody who notices the just listed sign. And it is ugly. And I'm the first to say it's one of the ugliest signs I ever built, but it's extremely effective, and it has been for many, many years.
Hey,
What
I like the bright yellow, the red letter. I don't think it's ugly, Rick. It works.
Oh,
Anything that works is not ugly.
So in my marketplace, my marketplace is a very corporate marketplace, and compared to some of the slick stuff that's out there, it's ugly. But I don't care. That ugly sign has made me a lot of money over the years. We've double-ended a lot of listings before they even hit the MLS because of that ugly sign right there.
Right. Amy, if you can shift to the next screen, and then we're going to get into the follow-up and the importance of the follow-up. So, we talked about the grade A lead, and if we could just go to the scenario screenshot, Amy, that'd be cool. So just one thing that we've added, again, to the property sign call is that we've added the mobile component to it, integrated to the mobile smartphone. And what that means is that, so when the buyer prospect calls the 800 number, they've got 3 opportunities. We talked about it earlier in our call. They can listen to the property script. They can either hang up, they can leave a message, or they can dial 0, which is the best type of lead. But even if they hang up and do nothing, it's still not over, guys. We could now, and we have been for a while, send in a instant SMS text right to that buyer's smartphone. As soon as they're on that phone, we can send a text, which could be your USP. It could be any content to get them back online, maybe to one of your landing pages that work very well. So we got all the angles covered. Rick, do you want to add to that?
Well, again, it's just about getting the lead generated, and I really liked the idea, Mike, when you guys brought that technology to the table of sending the text right to the smartphone of the person who's calling, because in that text is a link, and for that person that didn't leave a message, that maybe hung up a little bit early because they heard something in the script that they weren't interested in, they've now got this text on their phone that drives them or draws them back into my web, because I've given them an opportunity to again reveal themselves by telling us what it is they're up to through this landing page that you've made available through the text. And man, it's like 3-4 opportunities to create the lead from every person who calls. Well, I shouldn't say that. From every person who calls with a smartphone and listens to a script on the hotline. So it's not the be-all, end-all. It's not going to create every single call, turn it into a lead, but the point is, we've got every hook available now to the prospect so that they can make themselves known to us, and we can create eventually that face-to-face meeting and ultimately create the client relationship. And I'm one of those guys who just believes, and Lester, I think I learned this from you, that the agent with the most clients is the agent who sells the most houses. So the first opportunity I have to create yet another client relationship gets me well on the way to doing a deal. So we're just going to use this technology to its fullest extent. We're going to generate as many good quality leads as we can, and we're going to have an effective way to follow up with them to the point of meeting them, sitting down, and creating the relationship.
Okay, and before I get opening up to questions, I know our time is running out here on the hour. I just want to get the most important thing is this follow-up and the importance of follow-up. And I know, Lester, you've been on many calls talking about the importance of follow-up, when to make the follow-up calls, how often, when do you leave messages, best time, best days to call. You also have used our voice broadcasting product, which we haven't even talked about yet, as another touch. Why don't you, let's just spend a minute and talk about the importance of follow-up and what you do to follow up with buyer or seller prospects, not just on hotlines, but web leads as well.
Well, we incubate leads, for a long period of time. If they're looking to buy a home, we'll put them in an incubation system that automatically feeds properties to them on a continual basis. But there's nothing better that replaces phone's the #1 sales tool ever invented. It's 140 some years old. Nothing has ever replaced it. It's the #1 tool. So that said, these people need to hear my voice. And so as we get leads coming in, the long-term nurture leads, the gold in the whole lead generation system is the long-term, not the short-term. Online lead generation amounts to about 3 to 5%, maybe 8% now business. But the future business in online lead generation is a big pot of gold, and that's the one that takes great follow-up system. So a good practice to get into is, number one, you want to set up a voice broadcast system within AMS, and then you want to categorize your leads. So if you had long-term buyers, long-term sellers, you're putting them in different funnels because your message is different, right? To a buyer, it's different to a seller. So you put them in long-term funnels, and maybe it's a 6-month to 12-month time frame, 12 months and further out time frame, but you have different messages depending on where they're at in the process of buying or selling a home. And then, so if you had 300 future leads, future buyer leads that were all a year out front or a year or more out front, I can follow up with them every month by simply calling AMS. In a 30-second time frame, I can record a great message, push a button, and it goes out to all 300 people, leaving them a voicemail with my voice, following up with them. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that can replace the follow-up phone call. Now, you could do it manually, but what you're going to do is when they actually answer the phone, you now have a conversation with them. It can take 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Some people will take 20 minutes, and it just kills your day. I mean, if you're trying to follow 300 people every month, think about this. You're trying to get 300 people, either calling them manually and leaving a voicemail or having a conversation with maybe 10% of them. The time that you're going to invest is monstrous, where I can do the same thing in 30 seconds using the voice broadcast. It is a huge underused tool within AMS.
You're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could say or do on a voice broadcast. A short message every month. You can wish them a happy Thanksgiving for this week. And
what I'll do, Mike, what I do is, part of my funnel is doing long-term follow-up with sellers. So sellers who have given me permission to every quarter give them an update valuation on their home. So we've got a lot of those people in our system, okay? So every quarter I can record a simple message. It's simply something like, "Hi, it's Lester Cox over here at Realty Executives. Hey, the reason for my call is I wanted to let you know I'm getting ready to send out the updated valuation on your home. That should be getting to your email in the next day or two. So I wanted to make sure you keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions at all, here's my direct number," and I give them my phone number. Please give me a shout, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. Bingo.
That's
push a button. Cool. Push a button, it goes out to all 300 people. 2 days later, the system creates the updated market valuation on their home and sends it out to them.
That's cool. And how long does that take you? A minute, 2 minutes to do, Lester?
Yeah, a minute. Well, I have to dial your number first.
Yep.
So then I have to record the call, and that takes about 30 seconds, and then I have to just position which funnel it's going to go to, and bingo, push the button, and the call goes out to everybody.
That's cool. Good way to leverage your time. You can also use it to follow up. I know Craig has used it to follow up on a newsletter they just sent out as well. And there's all different reasons why you should call, but the important thing is that you want to do one a month. Just stay in touch with your long-term buyer and seller prospects, and keep them nurtured, top of mind, top of presence, and very, very important tool. And it is underutilized, like you said.
And one important thing, Mike, that they need to go through your coaching on this as well, because you really want to make sure what number's showing up when the phone call goes out. Right. The big mistake I had, because I got one of my coaching members, and I've got her sending out these voice broadcasts before she sends out her newsletter. Well, she had it set up to where her phone number appeared. Well, so she's got people that are answering her because they recognize her phone number, and they're answering the call saying, "Hi, how are you?" And she hangs up on them. So you got to make sure it's not a number they're going to recognize that's coming in, because really what you don't want them to do is you don't want them to answer the phone.
That's right. The whole goal of this technology is to deliver a short message to the mailbox or answer machines of your buyer or seller prospects in a timely manner, and we also deliver reports for you as well. Just show you how many have connected, how many didn't get connected. We can retry these things. They're very, very important. I find I've used it for all different reasons in my business, even for collecting money. I mean, it's a good tool. I get instant people calling me right after I just broadcast a message, calling me back for different reasons. And holiday seasons are coming up. Good way to stay in touch and wish them happy holiday, happy Thanksgiving, Every month there's a reason to call your buyer and seller prospects, and it's almost like they felt that you picked up the phone and actually called them when you record.
Oh yeah. Well, when you record your script, I mean, I doubt that if anybody heard the script and it wasn't script, I just said it. I don't have it written down anywhere. Yeah. I just said it. It'd be a message I would leave for you anyhow.
Right. So like Craig says, he calls, hey, it's Lester. I'm sorry I missed you. Like just saying that, as if you picked up the phone and personally called that prospect, where it really only took you a minute to record one message, 30-second message, and have it delivered to your database, and we do that automatically for you, and we give you reports on the status of that call. So of those calls, so you know what went through and what didn't. So I know we're running out of time, Amy, and before we get on to the questions, I know there's some people in this call that have joined coaching from the last 3 events, and they got into coaching. They got the unbranded hotline, didn't have an opportunity to start using the branded or the voice broadcasting technology. We do have a website you can go to take advantage of that. I won't get into all the details. We can just flip that screen over. So there's new members that really only have the less branded number and want to try the branded and the voice broadcast. You can go to our website, or you can call our number. I think it's the next screen over, Amy. We can have it. There you go. Okay, so amsforrealtors.com/webinar-offer. You go to that, or you call our number 1-800-458-1899. Basically, for $49 a month, or you can save a little money if you prepay for 6. You can take advantage of our hotline offer for the branded and for the voice broadcast and technology. So 2 ways to call in or to get this product. And when you go to that site, you'll see one for new members, one for existing members, and we'll also know what you have and don't have, and give you. And in fact, we'll give you a 30-day trial to try it out. No cost.
Well,
try it out.
On top of that, Mike, if you're in the Craig Proctor coaching program and you have this hotline, your coach is going to be able to show you about 50 ways to use it for profit. Absolutely. I mean, we talked just a few ways, but there's all different types of ways to leverage your hotline, and it even replaces a few of your assistants as well. We talked about that earlier in the call. So, Amy, do we have any? And like I said too, we've got another live webinar that we're going to host in December, and we're going to really fine-tune the FSBO opportunity as well, the FSBO hotline, and the video that we're going to kind of bundle into that as well. Amy, do we have any questions before we leave the call today?
There are a couple of them that came in. I know one in particular that is going to be addressed more so on that FSBO call that you're planning on doing for December. But for the functionality of how that would work, Arlene had asked, can that 0 feature go to the actual FSBO owner versus having to go along to you? So when someone presses 0 when they're listening to that property, does it go to you, the agent, or does it go to the homeowner?
Oh, absolutely. We have a feature called Enhanced Notifications. So for every 4-digit ID that's in that 800 number, you can have that number be set up to go to the FSBO owner so they can take the call. So it's all programmable for every 4-digit ID.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we'll go into more in-depth training on that in the next call, but it's certainly an option, Arlene, just so you're aware of that. Okay. Now, another question we have is for advertising, also online. So are you guys using the hotlines in any kind of Facebook or Kijiji type advertising?
Yes.
Yeah, because we didn't show much of that on the actual call today, but we just focus more so on the offline. But you guys go ahead and answer that.
Well, the answer is yes. So here's what you should be doing. You should be giving a prospect some choices. They can either log in or they can call in. For those of you that are still using the Craigslist medium for your advertising, you now know you can no longer use domain names in a Craigslist ad, for example. So what does Craigslist want? They want a phone number. So here's the number you want to put in, your free recorded message number along with the 4-digit ID code. We have been experimenting at length with putting a hotline number in a Facebook ad with great results. Look, just put the number there where people can see it. Make sure the prospect knows it's a quick, free, pre-recorded message, and you'll generate calls from wherever you run your marketing, online or offline, in any media channel that you decide to work with.
Big key word there, Rick, recorded.
Yep.
Recorded message. It's a free recorded message. If they understand that, they'll call because they don't have to talk to you.
Absolutely. And I know, Rick, you've at the Craig Proctor conferences, you do a whole session on Facebook advertising and how you tie in that online medium to the hotline as well, and how you use both to get that grade A quality lead, right?
Yep.
And the Craigslist, for people still using Craigslist. Sorry,
here's what it comes down to. It really comes down to the question, why wouldn't you put your hotline number in an ad? Like, why wouldn't you? Most people today
why wouldn't you use a hotline everywhere?
Right, that's my point. Most people, if you're online, if your marketing's running in an online media channel, where are most people accessing that? From a mobile device. To call your hotline from an online ad is as simple as touching the number with their thumb. So put the number in your ad. You'll generate call after call after call after call from smartphones.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. You don't have to remember a domain name. You just got to click a button on the smartphone. And,
it's a clickable link. That's right.
I don't know anybody over the age of 12 that's not carrying a telephone today. So why not use the 800 number just about any place you could possibly use it?
You don't want to, Craig has always said, you don't want to alienate your prospect on how they get information from you, whether it's an 800 number, whether it's a website. It doesn't cost you any more in the ad, whether it's online, offline, to place both, right? So the answer is, do it everywhere and offer the landing page and the 800 number as well. Any other questions, Amy?
Mike, I actually do a lot of advertising where I do the 800 number only. And the reason being is sometimes if I'm running an ad, for example, if I was running the 11 inspection traps ad we talked about, I would use the 800 number only because I want them to call to order the report. If I gave them a URL, a website to go to, and they go there and they see the report, they won't give me their information. Yep. If they go there and they don't see the report and they were expecting to see the report, they just go away without giving me their information. Where I call the 800 number, even if I tell them they have to give me their name and email address and they say, no, I'm not going to do that, they hang up, I still have their phone number.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we were on the call last week with you, Lester, when you took us to your online newsletter, and everything on the call to action to all these ads went back to an 800 number.
Everyone, yeah.
So that's cool stuff. So one of you guys want to? I mean, anyone that wants to go to some Craig Proctor upcoming super conferences, Lester or Rick, do you want to take them there? Where the next event is and how they can take advantage of?
Well, there's lots of events next year. I think we're at either 5 or 6 confirmed events for next year. Our next major event, sadly, is in Toronto in February. So for you people like Lester who hate cold weather, Toronto's not the best choice. But hey, we're going to do a 3-day super conference in Toronto starting February the 3rd. Following that, pretty sure Lester will be. Following that, I think we'll be down in Fort Lauderdale, where it's a little warmer. Maybe we can convince Lester to come over to Florida.
That one's in March.
Yeah, we'll be in Florida twice, we'll be in California twice, and we'll be in Toronto twice. So,
well, we're in Toronto, February, Fort Lauderdale, March, and Anaheim in April. So
right, CraigProctor.com, and then under the events tab, you'll see all the super conferences coming up. And if you have any questions about any of those events, reach out. You can get me, Rick at CraigProctor.com. Same thing with Lester at CraigProctor.com. We'd love to answer your questions about the.
No, Rick, I've been going to these conferences for 20 years now, just over 20 years, and every time I go, I'm learning something. You know, meeting fabulous people. You just learn so much. You're always in school, you know, and wonderful events and great speakers and great content. So anyways, now we're pretty well done. We actually went over 10 minutes on the hour. Another question came in: would there be a replay of this call? Absolutely. We're going to have this. We're going to use this call actually in our marketing campaign to get to drive for training purposes people to this call. So yeah, there will be a replay. Amy, when will that come out? Will that be out a couple of days? Tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll, after this call, make sure we wrap up any questions that came through, following up on an individual basis, and then the actual replay will be up tomorrow for everyone. I'll send over a link to your email, so just keep an eye open for that, and you'll be able to catch that replay. So some of the questions that came through were just covered in the call itself. Maybe people happen to straggle on a little bit later and miss that part, so again, they'll be able to get that tomorrow in their email inbox.
Well, there's some great content. A lot of people stayed on the line, and as we speak, they're still on the line. So great job, Rick and Lester. Thank you for coming on the call today. I know you're very busy, and I really appreciate you coming in and your insight. Any takeaways, any of you guys, before we drop off?
No, I would just encourage everybody to use all the technology tools that are available to you. The property tree hotline is, of course, as you know, Mike, is probably my favorite piece of technology. And I use it I use it every day. Every day it's used. So it's our best lead generator. It's our best call capture system. And we use it for long-term follow-up, short-term follow-up. It just replaces so many hours in the day that we would have to spend to do what this tool will do for us. So.
And I concur.
Beautiful.
I concur.
Beautiful. And Amy, thank you for hosting the call. You did a great job in keeping us organized. And we look forward to see you guys at the next either half-day training or Craig Proctor conference. So I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And
one quick thing, Mike, before we go, if you guys are in coaching, we are doing a boot camp, Huntington Beach, January 20th. So Huntington Beach at the Huntington Beach Hyatt Hotel in Huntington Beach, California, January 20th, all-day boot camp.
Perfect. Sounds like a warm place to go to too. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much again, and happy marketing to everyone. And we'll look forward to the next call. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. See you, Rick. Bye, Amy.
Thanks,
see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.